Was Jesus a vegan anarchist? This provocative question invites us to explore the core of Jesus' teachings and their implications for how we live today. It challenges us to look beyond traditional interpretations and consider the radical nature of his message of love, compassion, and liberation. By examining the historical context of his life and the essence of his teachings, we can begin to understand the potential connections between his philosophy and the principles of veganism and anarchism. This exploration is not about labeling Jesus, but about understanding the depth of his message. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and the call to live in harmony with creation. It's about challenging systems of oppression and embracing a life rooted in compassion and nonviolence. This journey will take us through the historical context of Jesus' time, his teachings, and their relevance to contemporary ethical considerations. We will delve into the concept of nonviolence, a central theme in Jesus' teachings, and its connection to both veganism and anarchism. We will explore how these principles intersect and offer a framework for a more just and compassionate world. This exploration is an invitation to engage with the radical teachings of Jesus and consider their implications for our lives and the world around us. By understanding the historical context and the radical nature of his message, we can begin to appreciate the depth and relevance of his teachings for contemporary ethical considerations. This exploration is not about definitively labeling Jesus, but about engaging with his message in a meaningful way. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of all beings and the call to live in harmony with creation. It is a journey of discovery, inviting us to consider the radical implications of Jesus' teachings for our own lives and the world around us. Some scholars suggest Jesus may have been influenced by the Essenes, a Jewish sect known for its ascetic lifestyle, communal living, and pacifist beliefs. The Essenes practiced vegetarianism, believing that harming animals violated God's creation. This resonates with Jesus' emphasis on compassion and nonviolence, suggesting a potential connection between his teachings and a plant-based lifestyle. The Essenes lived in close-knit communities, sharing resources and rejecting material possessions. This communal lifestyle echoes Jesus' teachings on sharing and caring for the poor. Their emphasis on simplicity and detachment from worldly goods aligns with Jesus' call to prioritize spiritual values over material wealth. The Essenes' practices offer a glimpse into a possible historical context that may have shaped Jesus' worldview. Furthermore, the Essenes were known for their pacifism, refusing to participate in violence. This commitment to peace aligns with Jesus' teachings on loving one's enemies and turning the other cheek. The Essenes' rejection of violence provides further context for understanding Jesus' emphasis on non-violence as a way of life. Their example offers a tangible model of how a community can live in peace and harmony. Reflecting the core values of Jesus' message, the Essenes' commitment to peace and their vegetarian lifestyle offer valuable insights into the potential influences that shaped Jesus' teachings. Their practices and beliefs provide a historical context for understanding the radical nature of Jesus' message of compassion and nonviolence. By exploring these connections, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the potential roots of Jesus' philosophy. The law of correspondence, a principle found in various spiritual traditions, suggests that the inner world reflects the outer world, and vice versa. Applying this principle to the relationship between humans and animals, we can see how our treatment of animals reflects our inner state of being. If we cultivate compassion and respect for animals, we cultivate those qualities within ourselves. Conversely, if we exploit and harm animals, we perpetuate those negative patterns within ourselves and in the world. Genesis chapter 1 verse 29 states that God gave humans every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it as food. This passage can be interpreted as supporting a plant-based diet, suggesting that humanity's original diet was intended to be vegetarian. This interpretation aligns with the idea of living in harmony with creation and respecting all life forms. By choosing a plant-based diet, we align ourselves with the principle of non-violence and demonstrate our commitment to living in harmony with all beings. We acknowledge the interconnectedness of all life and our responsibility to care for the planet and its inhabitants. A plant-based diet can be seen as a practical expression of the law of correspondence, reflecting our inner commitment to compassion and nonviolence. The law of correspondence offers a powerful framework for understanding the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of treating animals with compassion and respect. By choosing a plant-based diet, we can embody this principle and contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world. This perspective invites us to consider the ethical implications of our food choices and their impact on ourselves, animals, and the planet. Section 4. Jesus, the rebel challenging authority and religious hypocrisy. Jesus frequently challenged the religious and political authorities of his time, questioning their hypocrisy and challenging their systems of control. He criticized the Pharisees and Sadducees for their rigid adherence to the letter of the law while neglecting the spirit of compassion and justice. His actions and teachings often put him at odds with the established power structures. In John chapter 19, verses 15 to 16, Pilate asks the crowd whether he should release Jesus or Barabbas. The crowd chooses Barabbas, a known rebel and insurrectionist. This incident highlights Jesus' perceived threat to the Roman authorities and his association with those who challenged the status quo. While Jesus himself did not advocate for violent rebellion, his message of liberation resonated with those who sought freedom from oppression. Anarchism, in its purest form, is about living without domination, rejecting all forms of hierarchy and coercive power. While Jesus did not explicitly advocate for anarchism as a political system, his teachings emphasize self-governance, love, and mutual respect, principles that align with anarchistic ideals. His critique of earthly power structures and his emphasis on spiritual liberation suggest a rejection of systems of control. Jesus' challenges to authority and his emphasis on spiritual liberation can be seen as a form of resistance against oppressive systems. His teachings offer a framework for a society based on love, compassion, and mutual respect, principles that resonate with anarchistic ideals. By questioning the status quo and challenging systems of control, Jesus offered a radical vision of a more just and equitable world. Section 5. Hypocrisy in Christianity, violence versus the teachings of Christ. Throughout history, Christianity has often been associated with violence and oppression, despite Jesus' clear teachings of love and nonviolence. The Crusades, the Inquisition, and various religious wars stand as stark examples of how Jesus' message has been distorted and used to justify violence in his name. This contradiction raises important questions about the authenticity of certain interpretations of Christian doctrine. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 urges Christians not to be conformed to the patterns of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of their minds. This passage calls for a radical shift in perspective, away from the violence and greed of the world and towards a life rooted in love, compassion, and peace. This call to transformation challenges the justifications for violence that have sometimes been attributed to Christianity. The Sermon on the Mount, a central text in Christian teachings, emphasizes nonviolence, forgiveness, and love for one's enemies. Jesus' teachings in this sermon offer a radical alternative to the violence and retribution that often characterize human interactions. He calls for a higher standard of behavior, one based on love, compassion, and a commitment to peace. The hypocrisy of violence within Christianity stands in stark contrast to the teachings of Jesus. By embracing the principles of nonviolence and love, Christians can reclaim the true essence of Jesus' message and work towards a more peaceful and just world. This requires a critical examination of historical interpretations and a renewed commitment to the core values of Jesus' teachings. Section 6. Veganism, a testament to compassion and nonviolence. Veganism, the practice of abstaining from all animal products, aligns with Jesus' teachings on compassion and nonviolence. By choosing a plant-based diet, we minimize harm to animals and reduce our participation in systems of animal exploitation. Veganism can be seen as a practical expression of our commitment to living in harmony with all beings. The environmental benefits of a plant-based diet are well documented. Animal agriculture is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and water pollution. By reducing our reliance on animal products, we can lessen our impact on the planet and contribute to a more sustainable future. This aligns with the Christian principle of stewardship, caring for God's creation. From an ethical perspective, veganism offers a way to live in greater alignment with the values of compassion and respect for all life. By recognizing the sentience and inherent worth of animals, we can choose to minimize their suffering and promote their well-being. This reflects the Christian ideal of loving one's neighbor, extending that love to encompass all creatures. Veganism offers a practical and ethical framework for living in greater harmony with creation and embodying the values of compassion and nonviolence. By choosing a plant-based diet, we can reduce our impact on the planet, minimize animal suffering, and live in greater alignment with Jesus' teachings. This choice reflects a deep respect for all life and a commitment to building a more just and compassionate world.